Your TV is spying on you, how to stop it and protect your privacy right now. While you're sitting in your living room watching your favorite show, your smart TV is taking screenshots of your screen, not once a minute, not occasionally, up to 30 times every single minute. It is capturing exact images of whatever is on your display. It is listening to the audio in your room. It is building a detailed profile of who you are, what you watch, what you care about, and what you are likely to buy. And then it is selling that profile to people you have never heard of and will never meet. This is not a theory about what might be happening. This is not a prediction about where technology is headed. This is what is happening right now on the TV in your living room while you read this sentence. And here is why I need you to hear this today specifically. The Texas Attorney General just filed a major lawsuit against Sony, Samsung, TCL, and other major television manufacturers, alleging that what these companies are doing to their customers has crossed a legal line. That lawsuit made headlines, but here is the part that nobody's talking about. Clearly enough, that lawsuit does absolutely nothing for you right now. While the attorneys argue and the courts move at the pace courts move, your television is still taking those screenshots. It is still capturing that audio. It is still sending that data to servers you have no control over to be sold to buyers you will never know about. The lawsuit might matter in 3 years. Your privacy is at risk today, and today is what I'm here to talk about. By the time this video ends, I'm going to show you exactly how to shut down every major tracking system operating on your smart TV right now. Brand by brand, setting by setting, step by step. LG, Sony, Samsung, Hisense, TCL, all of them. I am going to walk you through the specific menus and the specific toggles that stop the data collection that is happening in your home right now without your real knowledge or meaningful consent. But before we get to the settings, I need you to understand what you're actually dealing with, because if you do not understand the full picture of what this technology does and how deeply it reaches into your life, you will not take the 5 minutes it requires to shut it off, and 5 minutes is genuinely all it takes. Subscribe before we go further, because I cover exactly this kind of thing, the privacy and money issues that affect your daily life that nobody else is explaining clearly enough. Hit subscribe and let's get into this. Here's the thing that nobody tells you when you buy a smart TV. The moment you take it out of the box, plug it in, and go through the setup process, every single data collection feature is already turned on. You did not opt into it consciously. You did not make a deliberate choice to share your viewing habits with advertisers. You clicked through a setup screen that presented you with a legal document written in dense language that nobody reads on a screen you are scrolling through as fast as possible to get to your show. And from the second you finished setup and sat down to watch something, your television has been watching you back. This is not an accident. It is not an oversight by engineers who did not think through the privacy implications. It is a deliberate business decision made by executives who understood exactly what they were building and exactly what it was worth. To understand why they built it this way, you need to understand the economics. Because once you see how the money flows, the whole thing makes complete and logical sense, even if it is infuriating. Do you remember when televisions cost $1,000, $2,500, $2,000? You can buy a 55 and 4K television today for $300. The hardware did not get 10 times cheaper. The manufacturing cost did not collapse. What changed is that television manufacturers discovered that the data they collect from people who use their televisions is worth more money than the margin they would have made selling those same people a more expensive TV. You are not buying a television when you buy a smart TV. You are trading your personal data for a subsidized screen. The TV is the data collection device they want inside your home, and they make it cheap. So, you bring it home and plug it in. The business model depends on you doing exactly that. The technology that does the collecting has a name, and it is important that you know it, because it is the thing you are going to be turning off when we get to the settings section. It is called ACR, which stands for Automatic Content Recognition. And it works in two ways simultaneously that together create a surveillance capability far more invasive than most people imagine when they think about a television collecting data. The first way it works is visual. It takes screenshots of your screen constantly up to 30 frames per minute, which means it is capturing an image of your screen every 2 seconds. These are not blurry approximations or rough sketches of what is on your display. These are actual captured images, clear and specific, of whatever is showing on your screen at that moment. The second way it works is audio. It captures sound through your television speakers and in many cases through a dedicated microphone built into the set. It takes those audio samples and those screenshots and compares them against a massive centralized database to identify exactly what you are watching down to the specific scene in a specific episode of a specific show at a specific second. And here is what makes ACR particularly comprehensive in its reach. It does not matter how the content is getting to your screen. Netflix through a streaming app, cable coming through a set-top box, broadcast television coming through an antenna, a game console plugged into the HDMI port. It captures all of it. The ACR system sits at the screen level, not the app level, which means it sees everything that appears on your display, regardless of what is producing the image. This is not speculation or inference. It is documented in a United States patent, patent number 10,951,698, filed by Inscape Data Services, which is the company that developed the ACR system used in many of the major television brands, explicitly describes real-time visual sampling as a deliberate product feature. It is in the patent literature. This is a designed and intentional capability, not a side effect. Now, here is where the implications get personal in ways that I think most people have not fully thought through, and I want you to stay with me on this section because this is the part that changes how you think about the screen sitting in your living room. The tracking does not stop at what you stream through an app on the television itself. If you cast your phone to your TV, which most people do regularly to share photos, show videos, or play content from their phone on a larger screen, the ACR system is taking screenshots of that too. Personal videos, family photos, private content you are sharing from your phone. Whatever appears on that screen is being captured at up to 30 frames per minute, regardless of whether it came from a streaming service or from your personal phone. If you have a security camera system that feeds into your television to let you monitor your front door or your backyard, the ACR system can capture that camera feed. And think carefully about what that means. Your television could be capturing images of the interior of your home from your own security camera and transmitting those images to a server operated by a company you bought a discounted television from. That is not a hypothetical worst-case scenario. That is the logical operation of the technology as it is designed and deployed. The data that gets collected then moves through a pipeline that starts with advertisers and does not stop there. Advertisers are the first and most visible buyers, which is why you have almost certainly noticed that what you watch on your television starts showing up in advertisements on your phone, your laptop, and other devices shortly afterward. That is not a coincidence, and it is not magic. It is your television data being matched to your other devices through identifiers that connect all of your screens into a single advertising profile. But beyond the advertisers, data brokers purchase this information. Third parties with their own various purposes and their own security practices, which you have no visibility into, purchase it. And this is the part that deserves serious attention. When a criminal organization wants to steal personal data, they do not go after individual households one at a time. They go after the manufacturer or the data broker or whoever is holding the aggregated data from millions of people, because one successful breach gives them everything from everyone at once. If that aggregated data includes screenshots from millions of television screens, including personal photos people cast from their phones and security camera footage from inside people's homes, and if it includes the device identifiers and IP addresses that can link those screenshots back to specific households and specific people, the potential for misuse is not abstract. It is concrete and it is serious. Your voice remote is part of this system too. And this is the element that surprises people most because the remote feels like a simple control device rather than a data collection tool. Many smart TV remotes capture audio and transmit it to servers for processing. Some of the user agreements say this explicitly in language, buried deep enough that almost no one reads it. The LG television agreement, which I went through specifically and on camera, runs across page after page of dense legal language covering viewing information agreements, voice information agreements, and cross-device advertising agreements. It explicitly states that data from everything connected to the television, including game consoles, set-top boxes, media players, and content cast from your phone, may be collected and shared with service providers. It is all disclosed in language written by lawyers covering scenarios most consumers would never anticipate, scrollable in about 10 seconds. On a setup screen, people are rushing through to get to their content. The disclosure is real. The meaningful informed consent is not. There is also a trap built into the opt-out process that is worth understanding before you go into the settings, because knowing the trap is there helps you ignore it rather than fall for it. When you go into your television settings and start turning off the tracking features, your television's going to warn you that certain functionality may be reduced. In many cases, if you want to use the voice remote, the TV will present voice data collection as a condition of that feature working properly. They designed the system so that protecting your privacy costs you convenience, which creates psychological pressure to just leave everything on and accept the tracking in exchange for the features. Most people do. That is exactly what the manufacturers are counting on. When you see those warnings in your settings, I want you to understand what they actually mean. They mean you are doing the right thing and the television is trying to talk you out of it. Ignore the warnings and make the changes anyway. The core functionality of your television watching content is not going to disappear because you turned off data collection. You are going to be fine. Now, let's get into exactly how you turn this off brand by brand, because the menus are different for every manufacturer, and I want you to be able to do this the moment this video ends without having to search for additional instructions. If you have an LG television, start by going into settings and then finding the privacy and terms section. Look for the option that says do not sell my personal information and toggle it on, and then navigate to the advertisement section and toggle on limit ad tracking. And while you are there, reset your advertising ID, which refreshes the identifier that connects your TV data to your other devices. Go into app permissions and verify that microphone and camera permissions are restricted to only the apps that genuinely need them. Then find the delete my personal information option and work through every category it presents, specifically including delete viewing information and delete voice information. LG is going to warn you at multiple points in this process that functionality may be affected. Stay the course and make every change anyway. If you have a Sony television, go to settings and then privacy and then user agreements. You are looking for a feature called Samba. That is what Sony named its ACR tracking system, and the name choice is deliberate. ACR as a term has developed a negative reputation because as more people have learned what it does, more people have tried to turn it off. Sony called it Samba because Samba sounds like something fun and harmless rather than something that is taking 30 screenshots of your screen every minute. Turn Samba off completely, then go through the remaining privacy settings in that same menu while you are already there, because there are additional tracking features beyond the ACR system that are worth addressing at the same time. If you have a Samsung television, which is one of the most common brands in American homes, the process has 6 distinct steps, and the number of steps tells you something about how important this revenue stream is to the company. They did not make it easy. You go to menu, then settings, then all settings, then general, then privacy, then terms and privacy. Inside that final menu, you are going to find multiple options, and every single one of them is going to be turned on by default. You need to toggle off Smart TV, toggle off the U.S. privacy notice data sharing, toggle off viewing information services, and toggle off interest-based advertising. Do all 4. Each one addresses a different component of the data collection system, and leaving any of them on means the tracking continues through that channel. If you have a Hisense television, go to Settings and then Preferences and then Privacy Settings. You are looking for two specific options. The first is device usage data, and the second is an option called Collect App and over-the-air usage. Both of those need to be turned off. Those two settings cover the primary tracking functions that Hisense has built into its televisions, and disabling them stops the main data collection pipeline. If you have a TCL television, which is one of the brands specifically named in the Texas Attorney General's lawsuit and which has faced significant scrutiny for its data practices, go to Settings and then Privacy and then User Agreements. Multiple options are going to appear in that menu, and you need to go through every single one of them individually and opt out wherever the option exists. Do not assume that opting out of one covers the others. TCL's system is structured so that each data collection function has its own separate agreement, which means you have to actively decline each one on its own. After you have gone through these settings on every smart television in your home, there is one additional step worth considering if you are willing to spend a few more minutes on it. Go into your router settings and look at whether your television actually needs continuous internet access for the way you're using it. If you primarily use your television for cable or broadcast TV rather than streaming, the television does not need to be connected to the internet at all for its core function. Some people go further and put their smart TV on a separate network segment that limits what the television can communicate with even when it is connected, which is a more technical approach, but also the most thorough protection available short of replacing a smart TV with an older set that does not have any of this built in. The Texas lawsuit matters as a signal. It tells you that government regulators are beginning to push back on these practices, and that the legal exposure for television manufacturers who have been collecting this data without meaningful informed consent is growing. But lawsuits take years to resolve. Appeals extend that timeline further, and the outcome of litigation that concludes in 2028 does nothing for your privacy in 2026. What protects your privacy today is spending 5 minutes in your television settings today before you watch another minute of content on a screen that has been watching you back. Your data is genuinely valuable. These companies built entire business models around extracting it from you on the explicit bet that most people would never realize it was happening, and that the ones who did realize it would decide the convenience of leaving things alone was worth more than the privacy they were giving up. And now you know exactly what is happening and exactly how to stop it. Go make the changes. Drop your TV brand in the comments, because if you run into any trouble with the specific settings I described, I want to help you get it done. Like this video, if it changed how you think about the screen in your living room.